Over the years, we've seen a number of teams have an all-star coaching staff. However, there's one coaching staff from one season that was unlike any we've ever seen before, and I highly doubt we'll ever see anything like it again. It's the 2015 Alabama coaching staff. Now, it's no surprise that Alabama, out of all schools, was the team to give us the greatest, but just how great were they? As of right now, that coaching staff has 6 active FBS coaches, and they're at some of the top programs in all of college football. Before we get to today's video, make sure to smash that subscribe button and turn on those notifications if you're new to my channel. If you love college football, then this is definitely the place for you. Also, make sure to drop a like on this video as well. It helps share the video with more college football fans, plus it only takes a second to do. Before we get to the coaches, that was one of the greatest Alabama teams we've seen in recent memory. They finished the season 14-1 and won the national championship. That was also the year in which Derrick Henry won the Heisman Trophy. That Alabama team sent a number of players into the NFL, but looking back on it, it was the coaching staff that will truly go down as one of the greatest ever assembled. We'll start with the biggest name on that staff, as Georgia head coach Kirby Smart was the defensive coordinator for the Tide. During Smart's time in Alabama, he coached players at 3 different positions, in addition to his coordinating duties. It was his 7th season as Alabama's defensive coordinator in 2015. He was recognized in 2012 as the AFCA Assistant Coach of the Year and won the Broyles Award in 2009 for college football's top assistant coach. He was also a finalist for the Broyles Award again in 2015. Prior to the season ending, Kirby Smart was named as the next head coach of the Georgia Bulldogs, his alma mater, but he remained at Alabama for the next month as they won the national championship. In his first season with Georgia, Kirby Smart led them to an 8-5 record. The following season, though, he led them to an 11-1 regular season record and an SEC title. It was Georgia's first SEC title since 2005. The Bulldogs reached the college football playoff, where they defeated Oklahoma in the Rose Bowl and advanced to the national championship. As you all know, they lost in an overtime thriller to Alabama, but still it was an incredible season from Kirby Smart and only his 2nd season with Georgia. He was named the Coach of the Year by many different outlets. In 2018, Georgia went 11-1 during the regular season again and won a 2nd straight SEC East Division title. They lost in the SEC title game and lost in the Sugar Bowl, but in the 2nd straight season, they were in the hunt for the college football playoff. Then in 2019, Kirby Smart's Bulldogs became the first team in school history to win 11 or more games for a 3rd straight season. His 2021 team became Georgia's first national championship team since 1980, and the first since 1982 to go undefeated in the regular season against SEC competition. Georgia set 21 school records and had the best defense in all of college football. They took down Michigan in the Orange Bowl and then defeated Alabama in the national championship game. This senior class ended up setting the record for most career wins over a 4-year stretch with 45, even though 2020 was a COVID-shortened season. So yeah, not bad considering he was on the coaching staff at Alabama back in 2015. Well, we just talked about Alabama's defensive coordinator, so how about we switch things over to the offensive side of the ball? In 2015, Lane Kiffin was Alabama's offensive coordinator. After his tenure as USC's head coach ended in disaster, Kiffin was hired to be Alabama's offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach. He spent 3 years with the Tide as their OC, where he put together one of the best offenses in all of college football during that span. He was a finalist for the Frank Broyles Award in 2014, which goes to the country's best assistant coach. He was then offered another shot at becoming a head coach, albeit at a lower level than he was used to. Kiffin was named the head coach of Conference USA's Florida Atlantic. He had quite the debut, as the Owls captured their 2nd conference title in program history, the first since joining Conference USA, and their first since 2007. They started off the season 1-3, but reeled off a program-high 10 consecutive wins, finishing the 2017 season with 11 victories. The 11 wins were 2 more than the previous 3 seasons combined, and earned the program votes in the national polls. Their 7-game improvement tied for the 5th best turnaround in college football history. Their offense finished in the top 10 in a number of categories, including number 5 in first down offense, number 6 in rushing offense, and number 9 in total offense and turnover margin. Things went wrong in 2018 as Florida Atlantic finished the season 5-7. However, Lane Kiffin turned them back around in 2019 as he led them to yet another 11-win season. After turning the Florida Atlantic program around, Kiffin rejoined the SEC and was named as the next head coach of Ole Miss. He quickly turned the Rebels into one of the best offenses in all of college football. Ole Miss ranked top 20 in the FBS in 9 different offensive categories, including having the number 3 offense in the entire country. He shattered the school record with 555 yards of offense per game. which broke the SEC record for total offense in conference games ever. Things got even better then in 2021 as Lane Kiffin guided the Rebels to a 10-3 record, the first 10-win regular season in school history. That included a perfect 7-0 mark at home. The Rebels finished the season ranked number 11 in the AP poll, their highest final ranking since 2016. For the second straight year, the Rebels led the SEC in total offense. Ole Miss has eclipsed 600 yards of total offense 7 times since Lane Kiffin took over. Prior to him coming to Ole Miss, they'd hit that number just 16 times in program history. He's going to enter the 2022 season with Ole Miss listed as a potential college football playoff sleeper. Up next, we have offensive line coach Mario Cristobal, who is currently the head coach at Miami. Prior to joining Alabama, he spent 6 seasons as the head coach for Florida International. After he was dismissed as the head coach, he was hired by Miami to serve as their associate head coach and tight ends coach in 2013. But just 6 weeks later, he was hired by Nick Saban to become Alabama's assistant head coach, offensive line coach, and recruiting coordinator. Cristobal sure could recruit, as he finished number 1 in the national 24/7 sports composite rankings each of his first 4 seasons. He was named the National Recruiter of the Year by 24/7 Sports in the 2015 cycle, and in 2016, he was ranked the number 2 recruiter in the country. Alabama's offensive line was awarded as the nation's best in 2015, winning the inaugural Joe Moore Award given to the toughest, most physical line in the entire nation. In January of 2016, Cristobal joined Willie Taggart's staff at Oregon as their offensive line coach and was named the co-offensive coordinator and run game coordinator. In December of 2017, he was given the title of interim head coach upon Willie Taggart's departure to Florida State. Then, 3 days later, Cristobal was officially announced as the permanent head coach of the Ducks. After back-to-back disappointing seasons, Cristobal led the Ducks to a 9-4 season in his first year. Then, in 2019, he was named the Pac-12 Coach of the Year by the AP after going 11-2 during the regular season, winning the North Division, beating Utah in the conference championship, and earning a trip to the Rose Bowl. In 2020, Cristobal again led Oregon to the Pac-12 championship. In 2021, the Ducks won 10 games, but you could say it was a somewhat disappointing season based on how they started out. The season started with such promise, and they were ranked as high as number 3 in the country, but they struggled during the final month, losing in the Pac-12 title game and then in the Alamo Bowl. During the offseason, Cristobal was hired by Miami to be their next head coach. For Cristobal, it's a return home as he played for the Hurricanes back in the early 90s. After doing a fantastic job turning Oregon back around, it's going to be very interesting to see how he's able to turn around this Hurricanes program. We'll go back to the defensive side of things, as Michigan State head coach Mel Tucker was the defensive backs coach for Alabama. Prior to arriving at Alabama, Tucker had a lengthy career with numerous NFL coaching gigs under his belt. Unlike the previous coaches mentioned, his time with the Tide was short-lived as he was there for only 1 season. This was actually the 3rd time that Mel Tucker was hired by Nick Saban in his career. Saban originally gave Tucker his first job in the coaching profession as a grad assistant at Michigan State back in 1997. Then, he rejoined Nick Saban at LSU in 2000. Tucker left following the 2015 season and actually joined Kirby Smart at Georgia. He spent 3 seasons as the defensive coordinator and secondary coach. After spending 3 years with the Bulldogs, Tucker was named the head coach at Colorado. It was his first head coaching gig at the collegiate level. During his first season as coach, Colorado finished the season with a 5-7 overall record. Although the wins weren't fully there, it was one of Colorado's best seasons since joining the conference in 2011. Plus, the recruiting class was the best since 2008. Sadly, his time at Colorado was short-lived, as Michigan State hired him to be their next head coach. It was a very rough first year for Tucker and the Spartans. They finished the season 2-5 in 2020. It was their worst winning percentage since 2016 and their second worst since 1991. He quickly turned things around though. In just his second year in East Lansing, he led Michigan State to an 11-2 record, a top 10 ranking, and a New Year's 6 victory over Pittsburgh in the Peach Bowl. He was named a finalist for Coach of the Year by almost every outlet out there. He was also named the Big Ten Coach of the Year by the coaches and the media. After going from 2 wins to 11 wins, Michigan State completed the biggest turnaround in program history. He was rewarded for his insane turnaround as he was given a 10-year contract extension following the end of the 2021 season. Up next, we have brand new Florida head coach Billy Napier, who was the wide receivers coach while at Alabama. His first experience in the SEC actually came back in 2011 at Alabama as he was an offensive analyst. He then returned to the Crimson Tide from 2013 through 2017 as their wide receivers coach. Napier left Alabama in 2017 and was named the offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach at Arizona State. He guided the Sun Devils to one of the highest rated offenses in all of college football. He became a hot commodity after turning things around at ASU and was hired by Louisiana to be their next head coach. In his first season at Louisiana, the Ragin' Cajuns won 7 games and advanced to the inaugural conference championship game. In his second season, the program set an all-time high in victories with 11. The 11 victories also marked the first double-digit win season in program history, and the first of 3 consecutive 10-plus win years by Napier. He was voted the program's first Sun Belt Coach of the Year, becoming the 3rd Louisiana coach to earn the distinction of top coach and the first since 1993 in their respective conference. In 2020, Louisiana went 10-1 and had the best winning percentage in the history of the program. In 2021, he guided Louisiana to their best season ever as they went 13-1, shattering their previous high of 11 wins. They won the New Orleans Bowl and climbed as high as number 16 in the AP poll. Napier spent 4 seasons with the Ragin' Cajuns and finished with a record of 40-12, including a perfect 16-0 record against members of the Sun Belt West Division. He also had 4 consecutive West Division titles, 4 straight bowl appearances, and a share of the Sun Belt title in 2020, as well as the 2021 Sun Belt Conference champions. Following the season, he was named the head coach of the Florida Gators. We'll wrap up today's video with Oregon head coach Dan Lanning, who was a graduate assistant at Alabama in 2015. He spent only 1 season with the Tide, where he worked with the outside linebackers as a graduate assistant. After Alabama, he was named the inside linebacker/recruiting coordinator at Memphis, where he spent 2 seasons. Then, in 2018, he was hired by Georgia as their outside linebackers coach. In 2019, he was promoted to defensive coordinator, where he held that title for 3 years. During his tenure, he was a 2-time finalist for the Broyles Award as the nation's top assistant coach. Lanning directed the nation's top defense in his 3 seasons as Georgia's defensive coordinator, including a historically dominant defense in 2021. In 3 seasons with Lanning at the helm running the defense, Georgia led the country in combined scoring defense and rushing defense. This past year in 2021, Lanning's Georgia defense had one of the greatest seasons we've seen from any college football defense ever. After being regarded as one of the best defensive-minded coaches at the FBS level, Lanning was offered his first career head coaching gig for Oregon, replacing Mario Cristobal, who he worked with at Alabama back in 2015. Well, those are the 6 coaches from that 2015 Alabama staff who are currently head coaches at the FBS level. There are also other coaches from that staff who have pretty solid coaching gigs, but none of them are head coaches at the FBS level. So, do you think this is the greatest coaching staff in the history of college football? If there was one that you think was somehow greater, let me know in the comment section down below. If you haven't done so yet, make sure to smash that subscribe button and turn on those notifications if you're new to my channel. If you love college football, then this is definitely the place for you. Also, make sure to drop a like on this video as well. It helps share the video with more college football fans, plus it only takes a second to do. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video.